right, so you might be asking yourself, what on earth could TDAP start the show with this week? I mean, you've got like 20 scandals to talk about, but let's go ahead and start off with Special Prosecutor Bob Mueller being assigned to oversee the Russian investigation into collusion and yada yada yada. You already know.
Right.
So before we get into, our opinions and like the whole, I don't think the Russian thing is a secret. We don't have to describe that detail for detail. But
right.
When the story first broke, my first thought was, well, who's Bob Mueller? Because I'm 30 years old, and I don't remember a whole lot of FBI stuff going on before James Comey, to be honest. Like, James Comey's one of the only FBI directors who...
well, to be fair, this guy has get done quite a bit back in Bush's day, and there was a lot of controversies going on back then, too.
Right.
I just don't think we paid attention to them. So this is the first one we've actually put our eyes on.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick... I've got an article. I know you've got an article, so we'll kind of just feel this out and go through it. But let's do a little bit of Bob Mueller history before we start dissecting this current story. So what I got is former FBI director Robert S. Mueller III was appointed independent.
Oh.
He means business when he's got suffixes.
The third.
He was appointed special investigator in the Russian meddling, blah, 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 of course. Mueller, who took over the FBI a week before September 11, 2001, had a relentless style of management that began with 7 a.m. briefings every day, whatever.
I would fucking hate working for that guy.
Right. Here's the thing.
Like, dude, I hate.
He avoided the spotlight and was credited in transforming the FBI from just a law enforcement agency into a counterterrorism agency as well. He served 12 years for the FBI, working under George Bush and President Obama.
And President Obama asked him to stay on for 2 more years over the 10-year,
right, and
the standard limit.
Is that what, now, because I was looking into that, is that what Obama asked for specifically, 2 years, or was it like,
I'm not
hey,
sure. I don't know if it was just like, hey, can you stay on?
And then he retired? Because I know he retired in 2013.
Yeah. I wouldn't think that it would be for 10 more, but it could be if he was just like, hey, I'd like you to stay on and serve another term.
I mean, based on what I've been hearing, people on both sides seem to really, really like and respect this guy, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Democrats are happy that this guy was appointed by Rosenstein, and Republicans seem happy that he was appointed by Rosenstein. So
yeah, I think
this is a win. It's a bipartisan win. It's incredible.
I think so. So after the September 11th attacks, Mueller worked to transform the Bureau, like I said, into an intelligence-driven agency designed to prevent rather than react to terrorism. Throughout his career, Mueller, now 72, has moved in and out of private law practice. He once gave up a lucrative salary at a private firm to become a homicide prosecutor for the federal government.
Nice.
He and then Deputy Attorney General James Comey came close to resigning over President Bush's electronic eavesdropping program, and Mueller told agents not to engage in brutal interrogations being done by the CIA. Mueller is said to have been close to Comey, who succeeded him as FBI director in 2013 and served until Trump fired him last week. Let's see. So some members of Congress criticized Mueller when he headed the FBI for failing to share more information with the public, although I have a feeling those same members of Congress, if they're subscribed to one specific party, are probably going to like his silence in the future. Yeah. So
I think so.
I would think so.
Yeah.
He oversaw the FBI during the Boston Marathon. And
what was the guy's name? Sarnayev? Tsarnaev brothers.
I'm not gonna try the first names because I'm just not gonna try
that. I don't
that.
know them. No.
But yeah, the Tsarnaev brothers, and So that was I guess that was one of the little, what you could call a mistake of his, is that he then, after the Boston Marathon bombing, came out and had to tell Congress that, like, yeah, we looked into them and we let them go. So, you know, people make mistakes. I get that. You know, we don't like to hear that.
Right.
But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's not. Let's not say it like that. I guess they're like, whatever.
Just shake it off, buddy.
Terrorist. But you know what I'm saying. Like, people
Right.
make mistakes, and when you work for the FBI, they're a little bit bigger than if you don't take out the trash at my house.
Right.
Mine only causes me to get in trouble. So
right. No one dies.
Right.
So let's say, okay, so now Rosenstein has basically asked him to come in, be a special prosecutor for this whole investigation. So now within the next 60 days, Mueller has to come up with a budget proposal, and that will be directly reviewed by Rosenstein. Mm-hmm. And then he says he can request that Justice Department employees be assigned to his team or ask for outsiders to be hired, but he's likely going to work with the FBI agents who have already been looking into the Russia matter for months now.
Right. And to me, that makes sense. I mean, he probably knows them, as he his tenured in that long ago. So, you know, I think that I think that's not unreasonable to have happen, or, you know, whatever.
Right. Here's the thing that I didn't like about Rosenstein's press release whenever he announced that he was going to be bringing Mueller in. He said that bringing him in is not a sign that, quote, crimes have been committed or that any prosecution is warranted, which makes sense, obviously. We don't know. The investigation's not done.
Right.
But then he said, quote, he's only determined that based on the unique circumstances, the public interest requires me to place the investigation on the authority of someone who can exercise a degree of independence from the normal chain of command. He then went on to say that he didn't necessarily have to make anything public unless he feels it's in the public interest. I feel like this story's in the public interest.
Right.
Like, at this point, like, if you're holding anything back, why? If you're saying that you can release anything at any point, but I don't know, maybe we won't. It's like, dude, like, you're going to want to be transparent in this because, you know, everyone's watching. So that was the only thing that kind of irritated me.
Yeah, no, I get that. You'll see on the YouTube video, heads poke in behind me as that was being said. Sorry. So, anyway,
well,
what I will say, though,
one thing that I wanted to go on.
What I will say as far as Rob Rosenstein goes is I think he is right that it needed to happen. Like, I think it did need to be taken out of the Justice Department's hands. Just personally, I
think everyone at this point, because you remember me talking about it too, where I was like, I don't trust anyone. I don't know if I can trust this guy. It sounds like we can. I still think that, like I said, this is a different era that we're living in where everything is so polarized that people are deciding that if they don't like Trump, that they have to just not do their job in order to hurt him, and other people who support Trump and think he's being treated unfairly have decided that they're not going to do their jobs in order to, you know, try to help him out in whichever way. So this is just totally, you know, everything. Before it used to just be Congress who played politics, and the other people kind of stayed out of it. And if they didn't, it was kind of a very special event. It's not now. Now it's weird, and everything is. Now, to be fair, I know that the Democrats are going crazy and talking about, you know, we need to impeach him and whatnot. They've been talking about that every single time. Republicans talked about trying to impeach Obama. They talked about trying to impeach George W. Bush and bringing him up on war crimes.
They did impeach.
Yeah. So that's not different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this scandal. It's like, no, they do this every time. People get upset, they're not getting their way, and they try to come up with something. And hopefully Mueller's investigation will decide if something is actually there or not, and we can stop with everything else that, you know, has been going on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So I did want to touch on how Trump reacted to this news. Because
the same way that he always reacts, shitty.
No, he didn't. They're saying White House had no advance notice that Rosenstein was appointing a special counsel, and Politico reported that he took the news shockingly well. A source said his reaction was extremely measured, and this part made me laugh. and that he didn't scream or yell. Like,
No,
what a high bar.
But still, his public reaction is.
I didn't see anything that he came out and said anything.
His public reaction is. Well, he tweeted that like, oh, this is never happened to Hillary Clinton. This never happened to Barack Obama. They did all these bad things. How come this didn't happen with them?
I don't remember.
The most
did he say
unfairly
specifically
treated
about
president in the freaking world? Like, really?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
I bet
which
the
11%
of presidents who have been assassinated would beg to differ, but that's fine.
That was just one person acting like that,
right?
So, like I said, I don't agree with his tweet there, but I didn't think that it was directly directed at Mueller being assigned to the investigation. So apparently, he's just saying that in general, but when it came to the actual matter of Mueller being assigned to it, he seemed to be kind of on board with it. Let's see here. So that's basically where we're at now. Now we're just kind of waiting for Mueller to get started, and hopefully that'll stop, all of the speculation and all the ridiculousness that's been going on.
Well, what was interesting too about the, first of all, for me personally, it was a breath of fresh air to hear that. I still think, here's the problem. I would still like an independent commission congressionally, and the reason why is because with this type of investigation and the way that Bob Mueller and his history of investigating is that he's very tight-lipped. He's not going to say anything. So this is a criminal investigation. There could be collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign that doesn't necessarily break the law, that we'll never know about if it doesn't cross that line. Now, does that mean he should be prosecuted for it? Obviously not. It didn't break the law. Should we still know about it? Probably so.
They'll leak it. Come on. Someone will pretend to leak it. They'll come out and say, I've got the memo. Cool. Can we see it? No, but I'll read it to you over the phone. Good enough for me.
Right. So, but then you're admitting that there's at least a little bit of possible legitimacy to those.
How can I admit to something I have zero evidence for and zero insight to? I can't admit to it. I have no idea.
Right. I mean, the possibility is there.
Possibilities are always there. I mean, there's the possibility that he actually paid hookers to shit and piss all over Obama's bed.
Right.
Yes. I doubt it, but it's a possibility.
So I don't know. I just what I would personally like too is while this investigation, and I know this is a long shot, and I almost guarantee this won't happen because Republicans would be idiots to allow it to happen. First of all, you don't want this to play out in front of the public because if there is something there, then you have more to lose if you're not hiding it. But I would like a public. Not trial, but hearings, so that we know what happened. Because I don't know that with Bob Mueller. Now, I trust Bob Mueller, and I trust if he doesn't find criminal.
I feel like you're saying Miller. I think it's Mueller.
It is Mueller. It is Mueller.
Mueller.
Loretta Scott King. But
patrons of the show will get that joke.
Right. Yeah, a couple of them. But what I trust him that if he doesn't find any criminal wrongdoing, then I think Democrats should accept that and should move on.
I won't. I don't necessarily agree, and I know that probably shocks you a little bit since I've been the one saying. Yeah, but to me, I'm looking back to because him and Comey were close. And Comey came out and was like, nope, no wrongdoing, and I completely disagreed with that. So if evidence comes out, kind of like what they saw with Hillary Clinton, where even I'm like, oh shit, that's fucked up. And then and then Mueller comes out and is like, no reason to prosecute. I would be pissed, and I wouldn't be like, no, you can't say anything, because no, we got to see what the facts are,
right,
or what the supposed facts are, So I don't want to make a blanket statement and say like I'll be pissed off if Democrats aren't happy with what they find.
Yeah, no.
It just kind of depends.
I think that's probably the better way of putting that. Because I agree with you there. I mean, obviously, I don't want you to show me put up on CNN a voicemail where like Trump called Putin and is like, "Hey, yo, Vlad, I need some money for you to fuck over Hillary Clinton right now."
Right.
You know, like,
No
okay,
problem, comrades.
no wrongdoing. Yeah, I have a problem with that. So I guess blanket statements aren't necessarily the best, but I don't know. Why do you think that Rob Rosenstein came to this conclusion? Do you buy into that? Like, there's like this story on the left that is like Trump threw him under the bus, and this was his way of making sure that his name was clean, which is almost Comey-esque in this scenario, if that's true. You know?
I think that he got. This is me personally, what I personally believe. So I want to disclaimer that. Obviously, I'm not an investigator. I'm not in Congress. I'm not in the White House. I don't know. But what I personally believe is that the Russia story is false, that the narrative to it is false, that the DNC got caught cheating, and they tried to just make up a reason for why this happened. And to me, that still is the underlying linchpin of, even if the Russians hacked and got the information was that you're a bunch of cheaters. And that's an issue, and everyone's just willing to ignore the fact that the DNC cheated because, the scary Russians got it.
We've talked about that before, too, but as I pointed out to you before, if there was collusion, whether or not it was the truth doesn't matter, because if you can
I don't believe the collusion.
If you can measure influence, yeah, right, I know, we're saying if you can measure the influence, and the influence was greater than the margin of error between the two candidates, then this president isn't elected without that cause and effect. So,
and see, because the Democrats keep calling for, like, if it comes out that there's collusion and wrongdoing, he should be prosecuted. And I'm looking at the DNC staffers like, why not both? If they both committed crimes,
I think most rational. I think most rational citizens.
That's not what I'm hearing.
Would tell you, prosecute them both. And I disagree with you, because the Bernie people were calling for Hillary to be locked up just like the Trump people were. So I disagree.
Yeah, but then Bernie came out and was like, "No, I loved being fucked up in my ass. It was incredible. Thank you, Hillary Clinton." And then they were just kind of like gave up. So But anyway, going back to what I think this whole thing is. I think that they personally know that this narrative is false. Like, when you look at McMaster's and I think that's his name, coming in and saying, like, I was in the room, because that was the other leak that came out. I was like, oh my God, he gave away all this information, and all the Republicans in the room were like, that didn't happen. I think they're getting sick of it.
Right, but they also
when it came to it,
they also denied things that they were not accused of doing. When McMaster came out and said he did not give away the source, he did not give. Well, that's not what you were accused of doing. You were accused of giving away classified information, not specifics, and that's what they denied. They denied specifics that they were never accused of doing. That doesn't satisfy me.
The quote that I heard from McMaster's was the President of the United States did not give any classified information. That's what I heard. If he went on to give more specifics after that, I don't know. But that was the soundbite that I heard. So I think that a lot of Republicans were pushing Rosenstein to say, this isn't going away, and it's becoming a daily event where they're coming out and they're owning this narrative.
Like,
I know, and there's an issue with that.
For the last 10 days, every morning I wake up to a story that's not the same as the one I went to bed to.
And that's fine. Doesn't mean that it's true. And
it also doesn't mean that
we're going to touch
false.
on that a little bit later. That's fine. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But I think that I think that Republicans pressured Rosenstein, saying we are losing the narrative here with the mainstream media and everything else. We need to just clear the air, appoint a special prosecutor, someone that everybody trusts, and someone that is going to restore the public confidence. Which normally, when they say that, it doesn't mean much to me, because I didn't think this was going to happen, where they actually would restore the public trust in appointing anybody. But apparently, this guy seems to have made the cut, and everyone agrees that he's the right choice. So I think that that's why you're seeing Republicans cheering for it, because I think they think that they're really going to get a fair shake. And I think you see Democrats cheering for it, because I think they honestly believe all of this that's going on. I don't think they're right, but I think they think they're right. And they think that they're going to get a fair shake out of this too.
Well, and we'll
you, just have to see.
I'll tell you my personal feeling, which is only me, not I'm not speaking for Democrats. I'm not speaking for liberals or independents. Just personally, I think that I won't go so far as to say, well,
Russia.
Yeah, no, I will. What I'll say is it all looks shady. Like, all of that looks shady. And if you, even with, like, because what you're about to throw at me is, what did Jared Kushner do wrong? What did this person do wrong? What did that person do wrong? Here's what I'll tell you. What makes it look shady is the way that Donald Trump responds to the allegation. The way that he responds to the allegation is the way that somebody who just got caught lying responds to an allegation. That makes it look shady. That makes me want to know why you're so jittery whenever this gets brought up. It's not a simple, oh yeah, well, if you, like, I wouldn't lose a moment of sleep if somebody came to me and was like, Brandon Condit, if somebody came to me and accused me of embezzling money, or like Brandon Condit's been embezzling money from his job and he's done this with it and he's blah 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 blah. Investigate the shit out of me, because I know that's not true. So
that's fine, but let's say that
I'm not gonna
happen.
get nervous and be like and freak out about it. Just do what you do, because you're not gonna find anything.
I'm just saying this. So someone knocks on your door and they come up, you see a text message, I text you at night, and I say, hey, dude, they're saying you embezzled a ton of money from your job and all that, and you respond, that's bullshit, ha, 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 lots of laughs. And
probably.
I don't care if everyone thinks it's laugh out loud, it's not. LOL is lots of laughs, and I'll stick with that forever. but
you got stuck in AOL days. Kids don't even know what that is.
But so you're laughing it off, and then you tell, and I'm talking to you on the phone, you're like, dude, I got nothing to hide, bring it on. And then you turn on the news, and every single news station is going, anonymous sources say Brandon's full of shit. He's totally lying and all of this. And then there's every single day there's another news report with no corroboration going, nope, the evidence is stacking up against Brandon. You're going to get a little nervous. I know you will, even if you don't think that you've done anything, because guess what? Innocent people go to jail sometimes, and you're going to get nervous.
Not typically the ones that hold the presidency of the United States.
Not typically. Not
Not ever.
Well, there's always room for first, and like I said, the media has not been fair to Donald Trump with the way that they've covered him and the way that they're covering this. And not to say that they haven't been fair to other people in the past, obviously.
Right.
But let's look at it through a magnifying glass and just look at this particular incident. No, the media is not being fair.
All
to
I'm
Donald
saying
Trump.
is, personally, I feel like there could be something there. I don't think anybody
could be.
I don't think that anybody would deny that Michael Flynn is probably going to jail at the end of this. Whether he's the fall guy or whether he's the only one that did something shady, I would imagine that Michael Flynn is going to jail.
And that's personally what I think. Again, I don't have any evidence. I should go work for all of the Huffington Post and everything else, because they don't seem to need evidence either.
Right.
But I personally think that Michael Flynn is the guilty party. I think that he was doing all of these things. I think that he was doing pay-to-play, saying, I've got access to the president, Russia, and Ukraine, and all these other places, and if you give me a lot of money, I might drop a little bird.
But what I will say is, just because I don't like the story that's coming out, first of all, Donald Trump, there are a few things you have to look at. Well, actually, we'll save this conversation for the next segment, because because we're about
they correlate. There's a lot of correlation. There's
a lot of correlation.
It's going to be going on.
We'll save the sourcing stuff for a few minutes, but I mean, as far as my personal feelings about the Donald Trump thing, I think that it looks shady, and I think that his response looks shady, and I think that whether the media is just pulling the wool over my eyes or whatever, and like, it looks like there are pieces that he doesn't want you to know about. And if he doesn't want you to know about it, then that makes me want to know about it.
Here's the thing. Even with all of these...
But I will tell you, at the end of all of this, if Democrats... First of all, if it comes out and no evidence comes out, and it is concluded that there is no evidence and there was no wrongdoing here, I will be satisfied with that answer, as long as
I won't. You have to prove that there's no evidence.
Shut up. As long
I've heard that argument like 8 times already. I stare at it every time like,
I know.
What?
I'm pretty sure Donald Trump said it to Barack Obama about his birth certificate.
He did. He totally did. And guess what that was?
Right.
Bullshit.
So, but what I will say is, I personally, if that happens, if it comes out that there's nothing, I'll be satisfied with that, unless the former scenario of, hey, here's some evidence right in your face, and we're still going to go the James Comey route and go the wrong way. Like, then, obviously.
Like, we get some weird emails from Michael Flynn that obviously looked like there was extreme carelessness and wrongdoing, but Donald Trump broke all of his phones with hammers, and we don't have anything.
Right. I would imagine, though, that there are a lot of liberals, hopefully not the majority, but I would imagine that there are a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals that will not be satisfied the same way that I will at the end of all of that. And now,
not my president.
And I think that
resist.
And I would say that then, in that case, if they continue to call for impeachment, if they continue to try to make something out of what has been proven to be nothing, then, like, you're making your own bed, Democrats. It didn't work for Republicans. I don't think it'll work for Democrats. The only reason I'm giving you a shred of hope at all is because my gut tells me that, like, there's something to look into here. My gut might be wrong, and that's fine. If it is, I'll tell you right now it is. But
yeah, I don't think inherently it's wrong, because my gut tells me Michael Flynn. My gut tells me nothing for anyone else. But my gut, just as soon as I looked at Michael Flynn and everything started coming out, and then him asking for immunity and having to be, let go because he lied to Mike Pence, everything says this is the dude. If there is any collusion anywhere, it's this guy, and I think that it's localized. It is just with him. I don't think that. I think that Donald Trump showed very poor judgment in appointing him. I think that people probably warned him about Michael Flynn, and he didn't believe them because he thought that it's just more of the media trying to take his presidency down, which he's very entitled to believe because that's what the media has done. Problem is, you got it wrong this time, and I think that Michael. And again, this is me talking out of my ass. I don't know anything,
right?
But I think Michael Flynn's the guy, and if he was. And I know loyalty means a lot to Donald Trump, but I think if he was smart, he would toss his ass under the bus.
Loyalty only means a lot to Donald Trump if you're loyal to him, though.
Right, and if it's proven that Michael Flynn wasn't and lied to him, no reason to stand up for him.
Donald Trump might be charming and might have a way with words and be very great to the people.
He's a gracious host.
But
he's good at hosting and doing this.
Ask Rudy Giuliani about loyalty. Ask Chris Christie about loyalty. Like, Donald Trump, once he's done with you, doesn't need you.
Right.
Well,
luckily, I think that Ivanka Trump has a lot of say with him, and I think that all those, like, I think with Rudy Giuliani and things like that, that's mostly Ivanka Trump saying, don't go that route.
Well, and to her
go golfing with them. They're good friends.
To her credit, thank you, if that's true.
Yeah, I love Ivanka Trump. I would love to see her run for some sort of office later. I think she's incredibly capable and incredibly smart and she's not a Republican. I mean, I think that if she actually ran and was being honest with herself, she'd be a Democrat.
And I'd still vote
for her because I agree with almost everything that she's come out and.
I think that Jared Kushner probably would be too.
Yeah. He seems a little bit more of a conservative, but he also just strikes me more as a strategist.
Right.
He was instrumental in having Donald Trump win. Like, he was the one who was confident when they were coming into the election, and everyone was saying they were going to lose. Jared Kushner was like, trust me, I've been in charge of running the numbers in
he was instrumental
Wisconsin.
Unless it was Russia. I mean, we've already determined that. so
Russia didn't hack the machines. There were still Americans that voted for him.
Right. Based on the truth that should have never gotten out. Damn it.
Right. So, get the hammers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess to sum this thing up, I think everyone's happy at this point.
I mean, so
obviously,
too.
Donald Trump wishes it could go a little bit differently, and they didn't have to do any of this. But I think that Republicans are happy. I'm certainly happy. I think that this is the right move. We'll see what happens.
I think so too.
Last time.
One more point before we round the whole thing out, just because we've got a couple minutes. So when this was announced, the first thing that you and I talked about this week was that now James Comey is probably not going to show up and testify in front of Congress like we had talked about last week, because that was the story last week, was that he was going to show up and he was going to talk and blah, 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 blah. So as soon as the special prosecutor is appointed, the story then becomes, well, he probably won't, because that could hurt Bob Mueller's investigation, Well, it came out this morning that he'll be there next week. James Comey will be in front of the Senate next week. So to me, either A, Mueller has already talked to him because they're friends, so that could be as simple as, like, I wouldn't imagine that would take a long time to meet up with them and have that conversation. So it could be that he's already got his interview, but I just wonder how much James Comey's testimony could hurt Bob Mueller's investigation.
And that's the thing, because I read another article earlier, and they were saying that's really what pissed a lot of people off about Comey as well, is that he had that news conference and he was like, we don't do that. And especially Bob Mueller, he's like, we don't do that. When we're done with an investigation, we're done. We make our report and it's over.
Right.
We don't go to the news media and we don't leak details directly from, the higher ups. So, but that speaks to a lot of Comey, and I think that's what proves he was the wrong guy for the job.
Well, and I don't
obviously
I don't think any, like I said last week, I don't think
he's got something to say it to Mueller, and then include that in the investigation and be done.
I don't think
he doesn't want to do that. He wants to get in front of the cameras, and
I don't think most reasonable people have a problem with James Comey being fired. I think they have a problem with the way it happened,
the timing, and the optics of it.
So but I think that's a good place for it. I just thought that was interesting because as we had discussed that earlier in the week, it came out this morning. I was like, well, damn, that could actually
I saw it.
I would hope that doesn't hurt this other investigation because, man, at the end of the day, I just want to be done talking about it. Like, I want to be done with Russia. What I'll say is, if there is evidence there, then whoever was involved should be held accountable for that wrongdoing. And if it was Donald Trump, then he should be out. Like, he should be out if there is something there. If there's not something there, then Democrats need to let it go. We need to move forward as a people.
And it depends. It depends on what it is. Like, if they catch Donald Trump on the phone going, "Russia, do what you just destroy Hillary Clinton," that's fine. Or if it's just like his comment he made when he was like, "In Russia, if you're listening, I hope you find the emails." I didn't think that was enough. To me, that's Barack Obama leaning over saying, "Hey, don't worry about it. This is my last election. I'll have more leniency here." That wasn't enough. Does it sound shady? And it's kind of a shitty thing to do. Yeah, it is. But it's not like he was like, "Hey, man, go ahead, take Crimea." Don't even worry about it.
No,
I'll have more flexibility.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a good place to leave that for now. So,
yep.